Congratulations, Joseph. That's the last box. Champion doesn't belong on his knees.
I just got so caught up in packing, I forgot you were going to leave me.
Don't you see, Joseph? What you taught me will stay with me forever. That Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a bad game.
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. He's back, baby! Ulti-Cannahawk is back and better than ever, and given that the deck was a Tier 0 super threat the last time it was unlimited, I'm sure it'll be just as good now. Right? Anyway, with that foreboding silence behind us, let's jump into a look at ZEFRA Ritual Beasts. Before we begin, if you're on the fence about subscribing, let me sweeten the pot for you. Between you and me, I don't think Ritual Beast is playable if Ulti-Cannahawk is at 3. So click that little button below the video and I'll put Ulti-Cannahawk to 4. So here's the list, and yeah, this is basically just the personification of that meme where you run out of deck space so you start shaving hand traps. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is an online strategy site for our mutual favorite card game. It's got a deck builder, card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. It's also where I post the Quarantine Series deck breakdowns, so give it a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now let's relive Ritual Beasts. Ritual Beasts are an archetype of monsters that were designed by an ancient gnome whispering secrets from in between the cracks in Konami's HQ. It almost feels like the archetype was built to be confusing on purpose. There's two classes of Ritual Beasts, Tamers and Spiritual Beasts, both of which count for the same archetype because Spiritual is just Ritual with an S tacked on. The fusions tag out for cost, so you get into crusty chains with stuff like Torrential Tribute, and Cannahawk. Oh god, don't get me started on Cannahawk. For the uninitiated, Ulti-Cannahawk's first effect can send 2 Ritual Beast cards from your banished zone to the graveyard to Stratos a Spirit. However, if you chain its second effect and tag out of this complicated contact fusion, targeting one of the cards you were going to send, you can add a card to your hand provided at least one of the original targets makes its way to the grave. Abusing this interaction is the entire basis of the deck. Unfortunately, it's 2020. One cute interaction isn't nearly enough to keep up with the metagame. I mean, have you seen Deskbot 001 in Auroradon? Contrary to what the Necros-owned media is telling you, Ritual Beast was never a good deck. It was just an exceptional counterpick against those blue bastards in Duelist Alliance format. The only reason their cards made it onto the ban list is because by 2015 standards, their turns took too long. Now that Konami's decided that's not a concern they wish to cater towards, they've been let off, but now we're left with a very unfortunate conundrum. How do you make the 6th best deck in 2015 the best deck in 2020? Why? By adding ZEFRA, of course. Ideally, Zefrath will function as better E-Tellies, enabling mediocre lines in the absence of Elder and Cannahawk by using Shadow's Zephyr Core's effect to summon Zefra and Pilica from the spell and trap card zone. Pilica is also a great way to show off some new combos enabled by the printing of Ritual Beast Kumino Falcos. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, the Tamers. 3 Elder, 3 Zefra and Pilica, 1 Zefra Wendy, and 1 Wen. After that are the animals, 3 Cannahawk, 3 Rampangu, 1 Apelio, and 1 Petalfin. Finally, we've got 2 Winda doing double duty. For Zefra, we're on 3 Zefrath, 1 Shaddoll, and 1 Nui for extra negation. Finally, we're on 3 Nibiru. Just as we torrential tagged in 2015, we can Nibiru tag in 2020. For spells, we're on 3 Oracle of Zefra and 1 Terraforming, 3 Zefra Providence, 2 Desires, and a Foolish. For traps, we're on 2 Steeds, an Ambush, and a Divine Strike. In the extra, we're on triple Ulti-Cannahawk, double Apelio, double Petal, and a single Ulti-Gaiapello, mostly for Pangu setups. Since this deck is adept at making Link 4s on the crackback, we're on Access Code, Appaloosa, Boral Sword, Unicorn, Cross Sheep, and 2 Kumino Falcos. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Zodiac Time Thief, and I'll be real with you, I literally just clicked surrender until I opened Elder Cannahawk. Let me show you what this deck is capable of. We're going to lead with a copy of Pot of Desires, finding off the top a Cannahawk! Who would have expected? We'll activate the effect of that Cannahawk, banishing a copy of Rampengu before contact fusing into an ulti-cannahawk. We're going to activate the first effect, then chain the second one, tagging out into a copy of Ritual Beast Tamer Elder and Rampengu, sending this Cannahawk to the graveyard and adding a Steeds to our hand. Afterwards, we'll activate the effect of Rampengu, banishing a copy of Ulti-Apelio and sending an Apelio to the graveyard, link summoning a Kumino Falcos, activating its effect so we can normal summon a copy of ZEFRA Empilica, summoning an Apelio, activating its effect, then activating both effects of Ulti-Cannahawk again because the original Cannahawk has not yet been special summoned. We'll summon back a copy of ZEFRA Empilica and the original Cannahawk in order to add an ambush to our hand, then activate Cannahawk's effect in order to banish a Petalfin, go into Appaloosa, set 2 and pass. This is a pretty good start, but constrained by the cards that we banished off of Desires. Our opponent will lead with a copy of Thoroughblade, then go for Whiptail. We'll negate the Whiptail and... Wait, how does this work again? Ah, yes! Whiptail is not once per turn, I'm just very stupid. We'll activate Ambush so we can force a replay. They will DD Crow. We still have attack on our Appaloosa, so we can negate it. Afterwards, we're going to special an Elder and an Apelio, and as they move to attack, we will Steeds, destroying their monster. Zoo has trouble with this. From here, we should be able to easily win. We'll banish this copy of Cannahawk at end step, and ooh, a Terraforming. That's pretty strong. We'll activate Terraforming for a copy of Oracle of ZEFRA. We'll activate Oracle of ZEFRA to get another copy of ZEFRA Empilica. We'll activate Apelio, and then summon an Ulti-Cannahawk who runs into his old nemesis, a Solemn. No bother, we can activate Foolish Burial, and then use ZEFRA Empilica to bring back Kumino Falcos, and Kumino Falcos to normal summon a Winda. This is well over lethal. Our second match is up against Odd Eyes, and this is one of those Elderless hands that in a world without ZEFRA would be a complete brick. As is, we probably have enough to make something happen. We're not going to go through the entire Shadow ZEFRA core line, but we'll get enough done to win. We're going to lead with a copy of, you guessed it, Terraforming, adding an Oracle of ZEFRA to our hand, then activating it for a copy of ZEFRA Empilica. Next, we're going to activate ZEFRA Providence to add a copy of Zephyrath to hand, set that, and activate its effect to put a Shadow ZEFRA core in our face-up extra. We'll activate Foolish Burial, sending a copy of Cannahawk to graveyard, then ZEFRA Empilica's effect in order to special summon it back. We'll activate Cannahawk's effect, banishing a copy of Apelio and going into an Ulti-Cannahawk. This triggers the effect of Oracle of ZEFRA and allows us to activate the effect of Rampengu afterwards. We're going to activate the effect of Ulti-Cannahawk, chaining 1 and 2 so we can summon to our side of the field a copy of ZEFRA Empilica and a copy of Apelio, putting Kumino Falcos back in the graveyard to get a copy of Steeds. Next, we'll go into Cannahawk, just sending, not tagging out here, for a second Steeds, setting 3 and passing. This is an Omni Negate and 2 AoE pops. Our opponent will lead with a copy of Revolution Dragon, and that's time in the round. Afterwards, they'll set scales, unfortunately, with an Arc Pendulum Shoot. We have to get rid of that, but they have the follow-up Sky Iris. This is particularly problematic for us because we don't interact with our opponent's monsters except by popping. They'll Pendulum Summon 3, and I'm just going to have to eat the Arc Pendulum activation. We're going to activate Ritual Beast Steeds and bring back both a copy of Wen and a copy of Cannahawk in the process. We'll pop our opponent's entire board. They will activate the graveyard effect of Pandemic Dragon and the effect on field of Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum, but it's not very much. All we have to chew through is a copy of Persona. We're going to activate the effect of Zefrath in order to put Nui back in our face-up extra zone, then banish a copy of Elder, banish a copy of Rampengu, activate Rampengu's effect, and get off to the races. We'll go into Cross Sheep and Ulti-Cannahawk. This prompts the Persona. Unfortunately, tagging out does effectively negate the Cross Sheep, but we still should be able to win. From this position, we can of course activate the effect of Cannahawk again for a Winda, go into Ulti-Cannahawk, and what do you know, we have enough in our banished pile that we can tag out once more. We'll do so to get a copy of Winda to our side of the field, as well as Rampengu. We'll get ourselves a copy of ZEFRA Empilica and perform a Pendulum Summon for the ZEFRA Nui, using its effect to get a copy of Providence to hand. We'll activate Unicorn's effect now that we have a card in our hand, shuffling that Persona back and going into Access Code Talker. It's not the end of the game, but we're able to pop our opponent's entire board and get in for 5,300. Whatever they get, it's not only got to beat Access Code Talker, it's got to beat the set copy of Ritual Beast Steeds. Unfortunately, Summoner's Art will not. They're going to Summoner's Art for the last copy of Arc Pendulum Dragon, pass it back to us, and that should be an easy walk to victory. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on Synchron Eldritch. God, I am counting down the days until I no longer have to deal with this monstrosity. At least we're going first. We're going to lead with a copy of ZEFRA Providence for an Oracle of ZEFRA. We'll fire off the Oracle of ZEFRA to get ourselves a copy of Zefrath, then activate its effect, sending a copy of ZEFRA Empilica. Unfortunately, this combo is a little bit muted because we drew the ZEFRA core. We'll normal summon a copy of Cannahawk and activate its effect. That fetches an infinite impermanence from our opponent. I guess we'll go into Petalfin, special the Cannahawk with Oracle's effect, and pass. It was good enough in 2015. I'm sure it's good enough now. They'll lead with a special summoned copy of Magician's Souls and an upstart Goblin. Afterwards, they've functionally won by drawing Tuning. They're going to normal summon a copy of Jet Synchron, and was that an Eldritch Ditch off of the Tuning? Always. They're going to go into a copy of Link Cross to summon 2 tokens to their side of the field, and stop me if you've seen this combo before. They'll go into a Formula Synchron, drawing a card, and I bet they're going to go for a second one. They'll activate the effect of O-Line in Graveyard, getting a token to their side of the field, and what do you know, a second draw, print a hard once per turn Konami, please, and a Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. From here, they're going to get 3 tokens to their side of the field, followed by a 0/0/1. I kinda get greedy, but unfortunately they do go for the Herald of the Arclight first, so as I attempt to tag out before the Savage Dragon can negate anything, they can just activate the Herald effect to negate my tag out. Okay, well, thankfully, it's not literally the end of the game. We still have life points, so we could theoretically come back, but it's going to be difficult. They have no back row, so all we have to fetch is that singular negate. We'll lead with a copy of ZEFRA Providence and normal summon a ZEFRA Empilica, getting back this Cannahawk, and they let it resolve? This is a frightening amount of stuff they're letting through. Well, I guess I'll use ZEFRA to send a ZEFRA Empilica and then activate Cannahawk's effect before going into ulti-cannahawk. I'll activate the effect of Oracle to get this ZEFRA Wendy out of my hand and attempt to tag out as they effect Veiler my first effect of ulti-cannahawk. They'll Borreload Savage Dragon, but that's not a big deal. We still get the search, and with the search we can get a copy of Steeds. We'll Pendulum Summon a ZEFRA Empilica whose effect is not once per turn and does trigger on Pendulum Summon. Yeah, okay, now I understand why they let me get away with so much. They have 2 Nibiru in hand. Well, it's a big token. Maybe they won't be able to get rid of it. Or maybe they'll just do the exact same Halka-Fibrax line again. Okay, fine. They'll go to a copy of Access Code Talker here, and target this copy of Halka-Fibrax in the graveyard. They'll pop my token, then pop my Zephyrath. No! No! Okay, I'm out of Providences, now you can pop it. They'll get in for lethal. So it's time for game 2, and sadly this showcases the deck's biggest problem, a complete inability to deal with any hand trap printed after 2017. Well, shockingly, we have opened a combo, so let's see how far we can get. We're going to lead with a copy of Elder. We'll normal summon a copy of Rampangu from hand? Is that okay? Well, apparently it isn't. Okay, no big deal. We can tag in and out. We'll activate ulti-cannahawk's effect to tag back into this copy of Rampangu, and this copy of Elder will activate Rampangu, and ooh, maybe we won't even get that far. Well, an 1800 attack token isn't what I wanted, but it's what I received, and we have to make the best of it. Our opponent's going to special summon a copy of Magician's Souls, then activate its effect, bidding almost their entire hand just to draw a 0/0/1. That's what you get. Next, they're going to go into a Halka-Fibrax and a Link Cross. Come on, can we not do this every game? Here come 2 tokens and a Formula Synchron. They'll draw a card and activate the graveyard effect of Jet Synchron, discarding the 0/0/1 to go into another Formula Synchron and drawing a Tuning. Well, at least they're not finding Eldritch. They'll go into a copy of Barricade Borg Blocker and an Auroradon. They'll summon 3 tokens to their side of the field, and afterwards a 0/0/1 from graveyard. From here, it's actually kind of difficult for them to assemble lethal. They'll go into an O-Lion and then synchro summon a copy of Savage Dragon. They'll activate the effect of O-Lion and the effect of Savage Dragon, equipping a copy of Auroradon and then proceeding to combat, leaving us with 1250 life points. Oh, can we ever do this? At end step, they'll activate the effect of Haketo and Conquistador, so they'll have access to Eldritch next turn. Okay, heart of the cards. Yeah, right on time, dude. We're going to normal summon a copy of Elder, then normal summon a copy of ZEFRA Empilica. They will Haketo our target, but still not a big deal. They're going to bring in Eldritch to their side of the field, so it actually banishes. But from here we can go into Kumino Falcos and activate its effect. They'll Herald, will tag out in response, but unfortunately, they are 1 negate ahead of us. Well, we had a good run. So we're back with the deck, and yeah, this is the Ritual Beast I remember. Extremely powerful if uninterrupted, and seldom uninterrupted. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. Despite the unstoppable passage of time, Elder plus Cannahawk opens still feel pretty strong. Best case, they end on Appaloosa and ulti-cannahawk with double Steeds and a live Divine Strike, which anything will struggle to play through. 2. The ZEFRA cards smooth out bad hands, increase the ceiling on good ones, and add some much-needed consistency to an otherwise wildly inconsistent strategy. And 3. I am happy to report, the turns still take forever, baby! All these years later! And the cons. 1. For any hand that isn't exactly Elder Cannahawk, the ceiling is extremely low. Like, 10 inches off the ground low. It's not going to be able to put up anything past a single ad of Steeds, and Eldritch pops cards in its sleep. 2. It's still bricks! ZEFRA helps, but nothing can resolve the archetypal issue of needing a Tamer and a Beast to do anything, and that's hardly guaranteed. And 3, listen, This deck was only ever meta because it was a counterpick for Nekroz. No one's playing Nekroz. All in all, it's a beautiful deck from a bygone age where sometimes your Petalfin would live a turn. But while this shell is its best home yet, Ritual Beast needed a lot more than ulti-cannahawks number 2 and 3. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons, Meepmoto27, Dominic Ernst, Alex Perea, Candyman, Crispy, Mika Reichman, Sir Tachyon, Stevie Blunder, Tyler Slacks, Tyrese Biggums IV, Andrew Horseman Linderman, Austin Zell, Chad Bortz, Presley Cason IV, Moira Brownwolf, Angry Bread, Lucky Number 5, Amid Elefandi, Nick Extreme 99, Miyuna Arashi, Jason Leonard, Andrew Boyko, Dunkoro, Nix Dolores, Marty Caldwell, Blue Boy, Shane Meadow Edits Pronga, David Daniels, Red Eyes, Arkend, Jose Luis Cortez, Yuri is Best, Mike Carlotti, Meds for Feds, Josh, CJ Alex, Darcy Tevs, Mitchell Cook, Sam Soon, Kurakaze, Chorps Away, Haruf, Jane Linya, Lucas Hansen, Algis, Marcin Kavicius, Lavender Lemonade, Zach McKee, Gustavo Sicon, Siberian Rabbit, Pro FP2, Gamer Games, Michael Oskvark, Dan the Man Hoban, Billy Williams, Connor Kid, Dive Missile, This Machine 237, Blab, Lake Root, Standards Objective, Jeff Leonard, Emperor Stove, TJ Steakhouse, Pro Yugi Dad, Picnic Blasted, Lawrence, Gel Durado, Ernesto Ibarra, Fighting Fang Wong, Donnie Fillerup, Isaac Jackson, Second Lucas Giertis, Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Andrew Benson, Distrin, and this name I can't pronounce. If you want to be part of the process, consider subscribing. And if you want to see me build these decks in real time, follow me on Twitch as well. See you next time.